Here we are, video 4 of a 5-part series on chapter 17 covering swing from absolute Java. The focus of video 4 is going to be on menus, menu items, menu bar, and I'll talk a little bit about inner classes. It's been a while since I talked about the great references available to you, so I wanted to remind you of this slide that I showed in video 1. Now back then, I showed those 3 links. One link was to JavaDoc. And here it describes all the different swing components, swing methods, AWT classes, AWT methods. No way you can remember them all. Great place to go to find out about them when you need it. I also showed you a link that shows you all the different swing components. For example, here is the menu component. And on this menu we have 2 menus, one called a menu, one called another menu. And we see a bunch of menu items. And these lines going across are called separators. And last I pointed you to the Oracle Sun tutorials that had a very nice tutorial on swing components showing you how to use all the different components themselves. Great resource. Well, I guess before getting into menu bars, menus, and menu items, let's bring up Eclipse. And let's just talk about what a menu bar, a menu item is from an Eclipse perspective. Here in Eclipse, you see a menu bar across the very top. I'm scrolling my mouse over it now. So on the menu bar, we have a menu called File, a menu called Edit, a menu called Run, a menu called Source. So menus go on a menu bar. If I click a menu such as File, I see menu items such as New, Open File, Close, Close All, Save, Save As. These are menu items that go on a menu. New is a little bit different. New is a menu, or an example of a menu going on a menu. See how when I go over New, a whole different sub-menu appears? Okay, so on a menu we can have other menus or menu items. Okay, so a menu is an object of the class JMenu. A choice on a menu is called a menu item and is an object of the class JMenuItem. Now a menu can contain any number of menu items. You saw in Eclipse when I clicked the File menu how many menu items it had. A menu item is identified by the string that labels it, and it is displayed in the order to which it was added to the menu. So for example, under the Edit menu in Eclipse, we'll see a menu item called Copy, and then one called Paste. Paste will come after Copy because Paste was added after Copy was added to the Edit menu. Now the Add method is used to add a menu item to a menu in the same way that a component is added to a container object. The Add Separator method gives a line separator between menu items. Now the following creates a new menu and then adds 2 menu items to it. So here I'm creating a variable dinner or dinner of type JMenu, and we're setting that equal to new JMenu daily specials. So daily specials is going to be what appears on the menu bar. Now I'm then creating an instance of a JMenu item and putting it into the variable lunch. And on the JMenu item that I want to appear on the menu, under the menu as a menu item, is lunch specials. That's the string that I give the constructor to JMenuItem. I'm going to create a second menu item called dinner. And here I'm going to call new JMenuItem and give it the string that I want to appear in the menu item, dinner. So I've got two menu items, lunch and dinner, but I haven't added them to dinner yet with one N. So here I want to say dinner.add. So I'm adding to the menu a menu item. So first I'm adding lunch. And I decided I wanted a horizontal line separator between lunch and dinner. So I created the add separator. I didn't create the add separator, rather I'm calling the add separator. And then I'm calling on diner.add the dinner menu item. So now I have two menu items on my menu. Now I can add to a menu item an action listener, just like I added to a button in action listener. So menu items behave a lot like buttons. So here I'm adding to the lunch menu item an action listener to an anonymous class new lunch listener. Menus can be nested. The class JMenu is a descendant of the JMenuItem class. Basically, this is going to allow us to put a JMenu under a JMenu to get that nested effect like I showed before with the new JMenu going under file so I could have a submenu. So menus can be nested. And menus can be added to other menus in the same way as menu items. Now menu bars in JFrame. A menu bar is a container for menus. It's typically placed near the top of a windowing interface. The add method is used to add a menu to a menu bar in the same way that menu items are added to a menu. For example, here I have a variable bar of type JMenuBar, and I'm setting that equal to an instance of a JMenuBar. I'm then going to add to that JMenuBar diner. That was the menu that we created earlier. Now I need to attach the JMenuBar to the JFrame, and I do that with the set JMenuBar. So here I'm calling set JMenuBar, and I'm giving it the menu bar bar. Okay, simple enough. So here's a GUI we saw back in video 3B. But instead of having a red, white, and blue button on the bottom, we're doing away with the buttons. We're going to put menu items onto a menu. So a menu is going to be called add colors. So we have one menu on the menu bar. And if I click on the menu, I'm going to have three menu items, red, white, and blue. And each one of these menu items is going to have an action listener associated with it to paint 1/3 of the screen, or paint a J panel that's going to cover 1/3 of the screen a particular color. So if I click the menu, add colors, and click the menu item red, I would have got the red bar here. If I click white, I get the white. If I click blue, I get the blue. So implementing this is going to be pretty similar to what we saw in video 3B. I got the class menu demo that's going to extend JFrame so I can inherit all the properties and methods of JFrame. I want to keep a reference to my blue panel, my red panel, and my white panel, so I'm going to make them data members of my class. The constructor, I'm going to call super and give it the title, menu demonstration. Now the JFrame layout is going to be different in the sense that the JFrame is going to have a grid layout. It's going to directly hold the three panels, one row, three columns. And into row 1, column 1, I'm going to put the red panel. So here I'm creating a new J panel, putting it into the data member, red panel. I'm going to initially let it be light gray. And here I'm adding it to the JFrame, which is using a grid layout, so it will go in row 1, column 1. And then create a white panel. Set its background color to gray. I'm going to add it, so it's going to go into row 1, column 2. Then finally the blue panel, and then we'll go into row 1, column 3. I now need to create my menu items to go on the menu. So I'm creating my menu. I'm going to create the variable color menu. I'm going to set it equal to a new JMenu with the label add colors. So add colors is going to appear on the menu bar. Now I want to create a menu item called red. I want to associate an action listener with that menu item. It's going to be an anonymous action listener, and I'm going to pass it the reference to red panel so that it can directly talk to red panel to set its background to red when it's invoked. Lastly, I want to add to the color menu the red choice menu item. I'm going to do the same thing for the white choice menu item and the blue choice menu item. So I've got my menu built up. Finally, I need to create a menu bar. So I'm going to create a variable bar, set it equal to new JMenuBar. And then I'm going to add to the bar the menu, the color menu. And finally, I'm going to put the bar on the J frame by calling set JMenuBar with the name bar. Now, using listeners the same way we did in video 3B, where listeners are separate classes. And we have a blue panel listener, a red panel listener, and a white panel listener. And they're all implementing action listener. Because they need to talk to the J panel, a particular J panel, to set its background color, we needed to pass a data reference to the J panel in the constructor when we created the listener. So here in our constructor to blue panel listener, we're passing it a reference to a panel, and we're storing that way into a data member. In this case, the data member is called blue panel. Later on, if somebody selects the menu item, the selection of the menu item will cause an event to be fired. This listener will be called. Its action perform method will be called. And since we've already got the reference to blue panel, we can directly call the method set background and change its color. An alternative way to do that, so we don't have to pass references in a constructor, is to use inner classes to make each one of those three listeners a separate inner class. And inner classes are really powerful because as inner classes, they can see all the data members and methods of the outer class. So here we've taken the blue listener, the red listener, and the white listener and brought them all in as inner classes to the outer class inner listener demo. As inner classes, they can see all the data members of inner listeners demo. So they can see the red panel data member, the white panel data member, the blue panel data member. We don't need to pass them any references. They're directly visible to them because they are inner classes. Now that makes these listeners a lot easier to write. So here for my blue listener, which implements action listener, don't need a data member, don't need a constructor. In my action perform method, I can directly access the blue panel instead of its background color. So really handy, really convenient, really easy to use. Speeds up development quite a bit. I recommend this approach. So we have our three inner classes, the three data members like before. We're still going to use the layout, new grid layout 1x3. We're going to create our red panels, same as before, the white panel, the blue panel. This is unchanged. The only real change is going to be down when we create the menu items and add the action listeners. When we add the action listener now, we can just call the default anonymous constructor. There's no data reference that we need to pass now because the inner classes can see everything in the outer class. Very nice. And finally, we have a main method that's going to create an instance of our inner listeners demo and set it to visible. So in wrapping up, we have a menu bar with menus on the menu bar. In this case, we have one menu called Add Colors. And on a menu, we put menu items or other menus if we want to nest the menus. In this case, we just had 3 menu items, red, white, and blue. And these menu items can have action listeners associated with them. And we saw today we can create external listeners, or we can bring those external classes in as inner classes so that they can see the entire outer class to make it easier on us so we don't have to pass around references. So that concludes video 4. Have a nice day.